A married woman really longs for the arrival of a child in their family, but the facts say otherwise. For years they have not succeeded in getting what they dream of. Until one day she meets her husband's friend and has a shocking relationship. Well, the plot of the short film entitled, which was released in 2014, we will soon begin. Shulpan is a woman who lives a harmonious household life with her husband. However, there is one thing they still do not have, namely a child. Even though they have been married for a long time, they have not been blessed with offspring. Even though they have tried to play more often, but it has not produced results. Shulpan underwent a medical examination and found that the problem did not come from her, but from her husband. This news was a big blow to her, but Shulpan still tried to be strong and not blame her partner. Even so, deep down, she felt an inexpressible loneliness. One day, they both came to a theater, and when they went home Shulpan and her husband met Azimbai, an old friend of her husband. At that time, Azimbai's gaze towards Shulpan seemed different, as if showing interest in him. Shulpan also realized this, and when he went home he kept thinking about Azimbai. Day by day, his desire to have children grew stronger. He often felt jealous seeing other couples playing with their children. He imagined how happy he would be if he were in their position. However, Shulpan still tried to accept reality and not blame her husband for this situation. Even though he already knew that there was a problem with her husband, they continued to try, hoping that a miracle would come to them. A few days later, they came to visit their house. Shulpan's husband accompanied him and played chess with Azimbai. But in the middle of it, Azimbai stole a glance at Shulpan, who was preparing dinner for them all. Azimbai also became braver. Even though Shulpan's husband was still there, she dared to approach Shulpan and seemed to give a code that she was interested in him. Since then Shulpan kept thinking about Azimbai. He thought that Azimbai could give him what he had hoped for all this time. Sure enough, when her husband was at work, Azimbai invited Shulpan to meet, and they made out. A few days later, Shulpan's husband came home from out of town, and when he came home, he accidentally saw Azimbai on the floor of the apartment where they lived. He also saw Shulpan standing in front of the door as if he was dropping someone off. Shulpan's husband, who knew that, was just silent and didn't say much. He realized that his wife was not entirely wrong, and he couldn't give his wife what she wanted all this time. Shulpan also seemed to regret and feel guilty towards her husband. That night they sat together watching television, but not a word came out of either of them. Even to touch hands they didn't seem to want to. On the other hand, Shulpan seemed happy and still hoped that his wishes could come true. And a few months later, Shulpan was even happier, because she was now pregnant. But whose actions were that? Whether Azimbai or her husband? The answer is unknown, and at the end of the film, Shulpan seemed to wave to someone. However, who did he actually greet? That was the plot of our film this time. If you like it, fly your senpal and see you again in the next film plot.